Welcome back to BLOCKTV. Now, a United States District Court judge has granted an injunction against Telegram, stopping them from issuing their Gram tokens next month as planned. The court case between the SEC and Telegram has been going on since last October over the legality of their initial coin offering for the Telegram Open Network. The SEC's claim against Telegram is that under the 1934 Howey test, their ICO offering constitutes a sale of unregistered securities. Telegram has countered with the claim that since it filed a notice of exempt offerings of securities prior to its ICO, it was authorized to sell tokens to accredited investors. The reason the court now has sided with the SEC in its latest ruling is because they believe that Telegram structured it so that the initial purchasers would expect to make a profit by reselling their Gram tokens to the secondary market, which would disqualify Telegram from the exemption. The court stated, quote, "The court finds that the SEC has shown a substantial likelihood of success in proving that the contracts and understandings at issue, including the sale of 2.9 billion grams to 175 purchasers in exchange for $1.7 billion, are part of a larger scheme to distribute those grams into a secondary public market, which would be supported by Telegram's ongoing efforts. Considering the economic realities under the Howey test, the court finds that in the context of that scheme, the resale of grams into the secondary public market would be an integral part of the sale of securities without a required registration statement. Furthermore, the court rejected Telegram's argument that the Gram token could be considered a commodity and therefore not be under the jurisdiction of the SEC. The court, quote, says, "The court rejects Telegram's characterization of the purported security in this case. While helpful as a shorthand reference, the security in this case is not simply the Gram, which is little more than an alphanumeric cryptographic sequence. Howey refers to an investment contract that consists of the full set of contracts, expectations, and understandings centered on the sales and distribution of the Gram. Howey requires an examination of the entirety of the parties' understandings and expectations," end quote. Now, this decision by the court could have rippling effects for all ICOs, as that interpretation of token would nullify all others' arguments for their token being a commodity. Finishing off with the court's decision to put an injunction against their issuing of Gram tokens now. Quote, "The court also finds that the delivery of Grams to the initial purchasers who would resell them into the public market represents a near certain risk of future harm, namely the completion of a public distribution of a security without a registration statement. An injunction prohibiting the delivery of Grams to the initial purchasers and therefore preventing the culmination of this ongoing violation is appropriate and will be granted." Telegram, for their part, immediately appealed the judge's decision.